cannot give you back your homes or restore your dead to life.
But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast that drinks and knows things. I am Luke, and we are here recording on September 16th, 2022, talking about House of the Dragon, episode 4 of season 1, King of the Narrow Sea. As what sometimes happens, we have some people in studio and some people in not studio. And in studio, I have Glenn of House Dog. Welcome back, buddy.
What's up?
How are you?
I am Sandy.
Sandy. Sandy Squirrel?
I got sand in low places.
I've got sand.
As they say.
You know, I think they all know that old adage that everyone's been there before.
Right.
Yeah, sand and cracks.
No, I had a volleyball game.
Yeah.
So I came coming from that, and
What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a birch beer.
Ooh, a birch beer, he
No,
says.
it's one of those Mountain Dew
Oh.
seltzer, whatever they call them.
Yeah, the hard Mountain Dews.
Hard Mountain Dews.
Yeah,
So
all right.
I just bought them at the stove.
Does it say zero sugar?
Yeah.
How can that possibly be Mountain Dew then? It's just, it
Well,
doesn't.
they sell like sugar, like
It was
zero sugar Mountain Dew.
I know.
I don't think it has the same
Aspartame.
bite, but
It's the aspartame that'll kill you.
It is. It is. Speaking of aspartame, Benj, Sly of House McLean.
aspartame.
How you doing now?
Oh,
How you
doing
doing
all right.
now?
Doing all right. Doing okay. How are you?
No.
Doing all right. Doing all right. Went to a fun little place tonight. So
Oh yeah. What kind of fun little place
Yeah.
did you go to tonight?
Dogwood Social House.
Oh,
Don't know if
okay.
I'm there.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
never been there. And so
Dogwood, like
it
the
was a neat
tree
little thing.
dogwood? Or?
The
Little bit of both.
state tree of Missouri, the dogwood. There you go.
Yeah.
And what are you drinking tonight, Benj?
I am drinking a gin and tonic made with a gin from Pickney Bend Distillery over in New Haven, Missouri. It is a naval proof of 57%, and it's a big glass. So we'll see how this goes.
Boy, howdy, look at that. Oh, man. All right. Good luck to us keeping him on the rails. We'll see how it goes. I can always mute him, so there's that. Also joining us from across the country again. I thought we were past this, but Gertie of House Condescension, welcome back.
Hi, it's good to be here.
And where in the world do you find yourself tonight?
At this very moment, I am in New Hampshire. Very excited. I'm in this like cute little cabin. Look at this ceiling. Hold on, we're gonna.
Not
so
only
cute.
is she the queen of fountains and drains, she also loves a good ceiling.
No,
I do
no
like a good
insulation.
ceiling.
And what are you drinking tonight?
I had just a standard Jack and Coke tonight.
classic, good old reliable. And I am drinking a Bud to have and to hold and to keep your beer cold for Kelsey and Ben, September 12th, 2012. So happy 10-year anniversary yesterday.
Congratulations, guys.
I don't even know
Kelsey,
them.
Ben.
I think
If
Glenn
you're
does.
in the chat.
I think this is Glenn's koozie.
I don't know.
I don't know
Are
who
they
Kelsey
still
is.
together?
I think that might be the one I found.
Well, congratulations. That was yesterday was their 10-year anniversary. I found that out as I was sitting here.
4
And I said,
days
wow,
ago.
that
Said
was
September 12th.
I said 15th. I may have said 12th, but it's the 15th. I apologize.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so there's that. I'm glad we could all be here to talk about another episode. And if this is the first time you've ever been here on one of the Drawbridge Media live streams, we are recording a live stream podcast. So we will try to hang out with the chat as much as we can, but we are also putting this out on podcast. So make sure you follow and subscribe us on whatever podcatcher you use, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, any of them. Also, if you are watching here on Drawbridge Media on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give us a like on the video. We truly appreciate it. And thank you for being here. If you're one of our old friends, thanks again for being here. We love seeing you. We're excited to chit chat, have a couple drinks, and let's get into it. We're going to skip that thing because we are still down on Patreon, but you can find us there at some point. But yeah, patreon.com/stayimaginary. They haven't responded to my email, so boo-hoo for them and us, to be honest.
They're
So
lost.
yeah, we're bringing a lot of traffic to them, that's for sure. This episode was 1 hour and 2 minutes. It aired on September 11th, 2022. Never forget.
Never forget.
As is written here with a bunch of arrows. This was also directed by Greg Yaitanis and was written by Ryan Condal and Gabe Fonseca.
So I'm pretty sure that's right. I didn't change it because I didn't really know, but
Could be
I
up
think
for
it's-
debate. I didn't back check myself
Don't
either.
hold that to, as gospel. So.
Gertrude, can you give us the episode description, please?
I sure can. After Rhaenyra cuts short her tour of Westeros, Daemon introduces the president, oh my gosh, the princess to the street of silk.
Thanks a lot,
after
Biden.
dark.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Oh my
Biden.
god.
All right. Hey, Benj, why don't you kick us off with the opening credits here?
No, I'm not taking credit for this one.
All
One who
right.
wrote it,
Glenn,
Mr.
you
Reads
wrote
it.
the scenes. You get to introduce them.
I get to introduce them?
Yep, they're your
Okay.
jokes. They'll only land if you're saying them, is what we've always learned on this show.
That's what we learned. So opening credits, we had Patty, Matt, and Reese get the top build again. And I just want to point something out that I don't know. I think it just goes too fast with the blood stuff. I just can't follow it. I don't know. I know it's supposed to mean something and all that jazz, but for me,
So you're not
It
digging
hasn't
it
changed.
overall.
Yes.
it's cool,
It
but
has.
I know there's significance to certain things that they're showing, but I just don't know what that is really.
Sure.
And I've not really like
Broken it down.
broken it down and really like wanted to do that.
Mhm.
So it is what it is.
And shout out to the chat there, Sarah. She looked it up. Claire Kilner was the director for this episode. It wasn't Greg. That wasn't changed in our notes there. So
All
thank you,
right.
Sarah.
Thank you for doing our homework for us.
Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts on the opening credits? Pretty similar to what we've seen since episode 2, I believe, right?
Yep.
All right. Glendog.
Next scene. So coming soon. Watch as suitors young and old compete for the shot at love and marriage with the lovely, beautiful Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. All eligible bachelors will make their pitch to win the heart and seat next to the princess. Be careful, though. The peanut gallery is there to insult and spoil potential matches. Watch as Rhaenyra competes her tour of Westeros, coming this fall to the WB.
Yeah, I think Glenn just won himself a job.
Yeah, Glenn.
Yep, I read that. I'm like, done. Thank you.
So I'll let you kick this off here. You have a kind of an overall note here as well.
Overall note, yeah, it's so basically Rhaenyra does not want to be there. Like the whole time she's just like, get me the fuck out of here. Like she's in this like courtship or whatever you call it, and here's all these schlubs or
Scoops, schlubs, and flubs all in a line.
all these guys, potential, suitors or whatever that are making their pitch, and it's really not what she wants to hear. It's what if Viserys was there, they'd be like he'd be all about it and stuff like that. Then the other thing I got is a peanut in the gallery gets shelled. So I think somebody else has a note on that.
Yeah, Benj.
Yeah, so I absolutely love the nod to the everlasting, unending fucking feud, Hatfield McCoy of the Bracken and Blackwoods, coming out. And I was a little annoyed at Rhaenyra for being like, I kind of like him, to the fucking Bracken dickhead, uber jock quarterback, when, the one dude who's, a son of former kings, or, an heir of former kings and all this shit, and all that is actually holding up. And then he shells the fucking nut, and she just steps off instead of fucking being like, okay, well, damn, maybe he's got something.
I think karma is.
Yeah. Oh, I was so happy when that happened. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. I didn't know where it was going with that scene. And like when it ended there, I was like, all right, I'm pleased.
Yeah, Abby, any thoughts on the suitors or the Bracken and Blackwood?
I mean, how insufferable would that be? Like, you have to sit, you're literally just appeasing people. I would hate it. I think it's terrible. Like,
As far as like Rhaenyra,
yeah, Rhaenyra, like, let's sit here and just give me your pitch. She's basically like American Idol judges.
Right.
Just like,
that's a no for me, dog.
and she's
yeah, exactly. Like, it just, no. And
she like wants to go to lunch too, or whatever it is.
yeah, anywhere. I would like to be anywhere else at this point. Let's go there. And I don't know. I like the whole maybe like skill or tactic over size.
Well, I
You
think
can't always.
the Bracken guy, it looked like he had a shitty sword too, like a little shitty.
He pulled it out. It was like just a little bit more than a
like,
dagger.
was it Fisher Price or something.
Right.
And then like the what was the Blackwood kid or whatever? He had a pretty good sized sword or whatever.
Yeah.
And I
But
think
they underestimate him and they laugh at him, and he's like, you know what? You're gonna learn today. I loved it.
I mean,
good for him.
I like
Yeah,
that
that's
it kind
good
of
for him.
flips it on its head a little bit, right? Because you look at them side by side, and you don't necessarily think this kind of scrawny kid's gonna do much, but clearly he's much more prepared for this, and he defends his honor without hesitation at all, which I like.
I thought he was dying. I was like, oh no. Like, oh honey child, you cannot. Oh
After
boy.
being called a craven.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why is that like such an insult? I'm sorry.
I mean,
don't
basically,
understand.
the word means coward, right? So
Oh,
basically,
don't say right. I didn't know that.
The Baltimore Cravens.
Okay.
the Baltimore Cravens, they're all cowards.
Yeah.
They were not a
I
team
just
for
thought
very
it was
long.
like a crave case. Sometimes I
Yeah,
am.
crave
You
case.
crave case? You
Yeah,
do not call me a
sometimes.
crave case.
You were just here for the liver and onions.
That's right. Sorry.
Yeah, and I can't. I mean, the only thing I wrote here in the book was similar thoughts to what has already been written down. Because it's got to be just frustrating for Rhaenyra to have to be put through this dog and pony show, right? This pageantry of just, hey, go listen to these guys read off their resumes, basically, and be like, hey. It's not even like as interesting as The Bachelor or something stupid like that, where it's like, oh, make them compete for it or
And I
something
think,
ridiculous. It's like, hey, let me just tell you, I'm cool and stuff.
Lost in the Shovel. We didn't touch on the old ass guy, the Dondarrion.
Dondarrion, yeah.
Who's just like, talking about God knows what, and she just like dismisses him, and then like next is this
He's like
Blackwood kid, like
he's like
Savagely.
good Queen Allison came in and just loved it. And she's like, oh, my great grandmother is who you're talking about. What do you remember her? Was she as beautiful? He's like, it was over 50 years ago. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
But
I'm sure that
I get it.
that dinosaur was really cool looking.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty brilliantly played scene for many different angles. It was funny, it was unexpected, and it was frustrating, for her. I thought it was a well put together scene.
Right.
All right. Any other thoughts there? All right, let's move along.
Mosey on along. Next scene. After a failed tour, the princess sails home as Daemon requests a flyby. He returns to King's Landing with a new monarch title. Later in the Godswood, tapestries are not seen by some. Alicent and Rhaenyra discuss love and marriage. Rhaenyra and Daemon chat in High Valyrian.
Love and Marriage. It's a good show. That's funny. Glenn, I'm gonna start with you again here.
I got the hot hand, I guess.
Hot hand.
So I don't know. I just get it's just a creepy vibe I get when Damon kind of just walks in or whatever. I just feel like he has an ace up his sleeve or whatever, and the eerie music and the resemblance that he has to Ramsay Bolton. It just makes me assume that he's some kind of like slime ball, but that's usually not the case though. It's just so weird how it looks like he's a piece of shit, and like the music would back that up as well, but then like he doesn't do anything bad.
They're really kind of playing both sides with him, right? They're trying to make a lot of these characters really complicated on how you should feel about it. Is what I'm taking from a lot of these, and he's kind of the prime subject of that. Like, hey, do all these things that are pretty questionable, but at the same time, you're like, all right, I'm kind of here for it. Like, I'm kind of rooting for him.
Well, I also think like they have literally educated us. You know, like you can have that like it's not education when they talk about like not brainwashing, but they have like
We've been conditioned.
conditioned
Condition.
to never. Thank you. That was the word. Yep,
Shampooed.
we got there.
then
You guys are
I,
great.
I could use both.
14 hours, no, 19 hours away. You still got me. I love it. So we've been conditioned over seasons and seasons and seasons of Game of Thrones to realize like what is being presented isn't necessarily what do you call that? Like a reliable narrator or
Your
how this is all
expectations
put-
can be thwarted over time, and that's kind of the
Absolutely.
expectation.
And what they're doing is making it so hard to like, oh, that's my guy, that's whatever, and it's frustrating, but it's also like well done. But I am super like Damon. I don't want to like Damon. Like I do not like this. Do not want green eggs and ham. So,
I thought it was interesting, like how quickly this entire court just like assembles because Damon's back, like just like instant, like oh, Dragon
Hey, Ray
Rider
Damon's
comes in.
back.
Oh, did you guys hear the
and
news?
footnote, Rhaenyra also is here. Like,
Yeah, no, and like they kind of walk up. She kind of follows him up the middle aisle there, like that kind of walking scene, and like, the whole time he's just glaring at Otto von Hightower too, right? Did you guys catch that? It's like over and over again. It's like, what do you get about smug bitch?
Yeah, it's like a rivalry that they have where it's just like a, hey motherfucker, I'm back, bitch, and and
You just stepped in.
back,
I think he just has this swagger about him
back
too, with
again.
definitely with the flyby too. Like I don't know if somebody had a note on that or not, but like he sees the ship sail, I'm gonna fly right up, buy it, fuck him.
Definitely a swagger. I think it's a good word for it.
Yeah, and
Go for it.
Luca, did you have a note on that scene? Sorry.
I've got kind of things throughout.
Okay,
In
so I'm gonna
general,
add to-
if I'm going to get to your note certainly, because that was.
No.
Do you have something right here?
I was gonna make a comment on like you're saying on the expectations of Damon and
Sure.
everything. I just want to jump on your shoes
No,
there.
go for it.
But yeah, so he comes in and he's like, yeah, they've named me king in the Narrow Sea, and everyone's like, okay, fuck, what's going on? And he immediately drops the knee. So like you're saying, subvert the expectations, throw everybody off their game in that realm or in that room because nobody expected that. Everybody expected him to basically flat out call for war. That's what they were prepared for. And and you see the switch of Viserys' head almost immediately from like, okay, I forgive you. It was like,
That's our
Very-
Damon.
yeah, exactly. So no, I was saying I liked that, how they use the subversion tactics on everybody to make you think one thing, then take it the other way. And it was a well played scene because, you had no idea unless you know the story, of where it's going. I had no clue, like on that part. That's very, very much the story I don't know anything about. So it was a neat scene to see.
Yeah, and in general, when he drops to the knee, right, and they kind of embrace, he's kind of just saying like, yeah, I mean, you can go ask 2,000 dead Corsairs, how it's going, right? Is anyone really going to take them back over? Do I really need to be there to hold it? I'm not worried about holding it. I'm worried about giving you the thing that you didn't ask for, but I was doing on your behalf. And it really is kind of like dirty deeds done dirt cheap is what I wrote down. Because it was like, you know what? Viserys didn't want to pull the trigger on that early in the season where we were with, Dreha taking over the Stepstones and Corlys and and Damon both just kind of took it out of his hands and said, we're going to take care of this. And now we did. And now we're not doing anything beyond that other than showing you that we're pretty fucking valuable to you. Like, let us do our thing. Like, kind of get out of our way. You're still the guy. We're not taking that from you. But let us do our thing. And, like, trust us when we say we can get it done. I thought that was a really well-played scene. Because then they kind of go outside and they're buddy, right? It's kind of like he finally gets his little brother back
They're
again.
back.
And
in
he's
the
like,
saddle.
you know, you were always mom's favorite. And, you know, Allison's there. Rainey's kind of walks up. Benj, you want to kind of take on from there a little bit?
Yeah, so I did have another thought on this part. It's funny watching the series act in this scene with all four of them, where he's like, "Oh yeah, your mom's favorite. I'm not as good of a battler or soldier as you," and this and that, and like he's very much talking him up, very much like trying to be like, "Yeah, I'm cool. And even when Allison's like, "Hey, he hasn't seen the tapestries. Oh, you want to see the tapestries?" Or, you know, like
Hey, you should
trying
go-
to like
go see
play
the-
up
the
that cool
Glockenspiels.
dickhead. Yeah,
I don't want to see
he's
the
trying to be
goddamn
that cool
Glockenspiels.
dickhead in front of his brother, because he don't want to look like, oh, but then you think back, he's the motherfucker who builds models in his free time, so for him, like he's playing that,
He
like I
has
said,
really gotten into it. Like, he has really dove in deep with the model building. I love it. Yeah, everybody should have.
You could be on
there's nothing wrong
Lego
with it, but
Masters,
I'm just saying
is what you're saying?
Oh,
The new
yeah.
Mark and
Yeah.
Boone.
Yeah.
Like he's shitting on an art project, on an art thing, when that's what he does to make himself feel like he's not as nerdy or whatever to his cool brother, to his cool little brother. I like that little dynamic there, especially since Viserys in his cups, I'm all for it, because you could tell he was turning one on.
Yeah, he has for more in that scene too, right? He's excited and he's kind of in party mode. He's in happy V mode, and I don't want to see the glockenspiels. That was kind of funny, but it was also kind of a douchey thing to say to his wife, right? He really kind of belittles her in that moment. I know he's not really intending it that way. He's just kind of being a bro right there.
No, it is. But no,
it's
no,
a really
it is
bad
not
look.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying
know you're
in
not,
his mentality,
but I feel like so many times
it's very condescending.
Are just women in general are spoken to like that from an intimate partner, and it's just like, oh, how cute is that? Like, oh my gosh, like, and just blows her. And literally, all she is trying to do is connect or like help him out of a situation or whatever, and he laughs at her.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's pretty terrible.
he laughs in, and this is my favorite part of the whole episode. This is gonna be my favorite thing, and I'm gonna give it up now. Rhaenyra's face right there. Like, it was complete understanding of how like belittling and uncalled for. Like, I'm mad at this bitch. Like, I am mad, and she has done nothing right for 3 years. But that is my place to fill, not yours. Like, I can be a cunt to her, but you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to take that realm or take that space from me. And it's like a complete turning point. It is a random olive branch, not the olive branch that was handed, but just one that kind of happened, or a moment that it was like the ice has broke. And I don't know. I think that what we see coming forward between them two, like just as like the rebuild of this relationship, or how they are kind of like tiptoeing by each other, like, I've missed you, I love you, and I know we were mean, but we're not actually talking. Like, it is the most accurate portrayal of a female relationship and kind of like the dance that happens. And I'm sure that I do not speak for every girl, but it was like, I know when we were doing the last thing, I heard like George Martin says he writes women so well. I'm like, he writes fucking whores and people who hate them as moms. And no, like he writes people because no, this is like the most accurate portrayal of what it's like being a girl trying to navigate like a friendship that has kind of gone to the south. I love this. Sorry, favorite thing. we don't have to do it at the end. Don't talk
good.
to
There
me.
you
So
go.
we'll skip to the end.
All right, that was our
No.
episode. Thanks, everyone.
Sorry.
You can follow us on
Sorry.
Twitter at.
Off, off my soapbox. It's just I thought it was.
No, Abby, here's the thing. My note in this is you put it way more eloquently than I ever could,
Did
because
you
mine
just
was
call me eloquent?
Yeah.
Mark me. Never
it-
forget the date.
It definitely was not
Timestamp
elephant.
it.
He's not that rude.
Just kidding. Sorry, Benj.
Hey, Benj, real quick, tap on your microphone.
Nope. Okay, I'll work on it.
Yeah. Just in general. Sorry.
That's fine. So good looking out. But no, my note for the scene actually was I like that Ra and Ali are genuinely actually trying to be friends, but I didn't read it as like you're right. Like what you said was absolutely spot on. It's not they're trying to be friends, it's they've missed their friendship,
Mhm.
and this is cracked the ice into it. So
Yeah. It's like, hey,
definitely
I
like that.
really took exception to what you just did to her right there. And you two are just like, oh, it wasn't a big deal. We were just giggling. Damon wouldn't want to see that.
And
Who,
she
who
kind
would
of
think that?
Rhaenyra's kind of throws it right in Viserys' face. She's like, "I'll go take. I would love to go look at the
Yeah,
tapestries.
So look at those.
I think I'll go alone."
Right.
Exactly.
And then she doesn't
here's the
go.
thing, too. No. Well, she might have. She may have come back to Alicent after seeing the tapestries.
But we don't see the
like, 'cause I-
tapestry.
I
Oh,
had
we
the
pretty much
feeling
see
that
her
they were
walk straight over
close.
and sit down, like immediately.
Yeah.
She doesn't even leave the courtyard.
No tapestries.
Did
And
Allison
she
come?
just
Oh,
did
Allison
it
came and
just-
sat
Allison
next to
came
her.
and
That's
sat
right.
next to her.
That's right.
She
Yeah.
did it
Okay.
just to be just to
Yeah.
fucking drive home the point. Like, I just watched this happen. It's not okay.
Mhm.
Like, that was gross.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. Like,
And here's the thing too. Damon didn't say a fucking word.
no.
Who's to say what he wanted? He might have wanted to see the fucking tapestries. You know, he might be like, okay, yeah,
Let's see them
let's
tapestries.
go look.
Thank
regular
you for your
tapestries, yeah.
kindness. Like, you don't know what he could have taken up his niceties and been like, oh, sure, I'd like to go, even if he wouldn't. But
Yeah.
nope, that was taken away from her.
So
You
then
know,
Allison,
like-
she does come over and kind of talk to Rhaenyra, and I loved that scene a lot too. And they,
Mhm.
like you said, both of you, like, the ice has kind of been cracked. Yeah, Benji, you're good now. And
I can see.
that she's like, I'm glad you're home. Like they have an honest moment of like they're just sisters again, they're girlfriends again, right? And this is they're still a little aware of where things have been, but they're letting themselves be in this moment. And Allison opens up, I've had very few friends lately. It's been really difficult from I have to play this different character in places. Everyone sees me as the queen, but I still feel like Lady Alicent. In my heart, I feel this way, but I have to act this other way, and people don't treat me the same. And that's got to be a really kind of a tough, like, loss of identity for her too, right? Along this whole path. Again, I'm hanging my hat on. She didn't choose this. She didn't choose this. It happened. She's dealing with it, and she's dealing with it well. But it takes an emotional toll. And this is the only person that she can kind of open up to, honestly, about, like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of got its perks, but at the same time, like, I'm very alone, and you're the only person I could even relate to with this kind of thing. And the way this has happened, you've very much been off the reservation of being a person I could talk to about this. So, hey, it was what, a 25-second, 30-second scene between those two? They covered a lot of ground that I was really, really happy to see between those two.
Yeah, and like Rhaenyra, like she definitely like kind of talks into, I don't want to say a trap, but like kind of a trap where it's like, oh, how'd your tour go? Well, shitty or whatever. And like, oh, all these guys pining over you or whatever.
Mhm.
That should
That's-
be, cool.
Doesn't sound so bad.
Well, like, and she just kind of says like, well, I'm just going to be a guy or a girl that's just going to
Be locked in a
be
castle,
locked in a castle and, have to
squeeze out
babies and stuff like that. Like, and then like, oh shit. Like,
It's like
that's exactly
specifically
what you are doing now.
And she like immediately just says sorry. Like she knows it immediately, like that she just kind of called out, and she kind of sees that. And again, like another quick olive branch of like, didn't mean to just like call out probably the worst part of your life. Like, sorry,
That you don't have a choice for, and I don't know, maybe that turns the tide on her thought about the whole thing or whatever. I don't know.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah, I think time will tell if this lasts or if this was, just a nice moment in, that opportunity arose and they took advantage of it. But yeah, I thought it was a really, really great scene for sure. Any other thoughts on here? Oh, we have Rhaenyra and Daemon chatting in High Valyrian a little as well.
Yeah, I hated the scene because I had to slow it down to read. No, it was fine. Planting seeds, putting it, the elder adult, in the room planting seeds in the youngling of, well, you don't want to be tied down, and this, and that, it's like, oh, why waste the best part of life, and blah 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 blah, and yeah, planting the dissenting seeds is the best way I could put it. It was fine.
Yeah, it happened. No doubt about that. How neat is that, Glenn? Next scene.
That's pretty neat. All right, here we go. At council, word has it that the sea snake is wheeling and dealing. The royal family appears to be settling down for the evening. However, Rhaenyra is accompanied by her uncle, who treats her to a stroll through the Street of Silk, a show, and sex. Back at the castle, Alicent is summoned for the sex. A horny princess indulges in intercourse herself with a one Christian Cole.
So this scene kind of opens up right at the council, and we clearly see the council struggling with, okay, well, we know Corlys is out with the Sea Lord of Braavos, maybe creating a marriage pact that could, like, we've seen where Daemon is after breaking the Stepstones, tyrant, but we don't really know where Corlys is. We don't really know politically where he falls currently. Like, if he would have done the same thing.
They just kind of get word that he's wheeling and dealing, I think is what they said.
Yeah, they use those terms specifically, I believe. But it clearly seems like Daemon just took off, left all the Velaryons behind to do this on his own without even kind of consulting with the Velaryons at all.
Yeah,
he's just doing it on his own.
That's been his thing the whole time.
Absolutely. It's very in character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's doing this without it being like they're working together. He's just doing it because that's what he thinks needs to be done.
The aftermath of the Stepstone. Let's reconvene. Let's talk about our next play. And he's like, nope.
And so Corlys like, well, I got to do something, right? And Laena's about time. It's about time to start marrying her off because she's a pawn to play. And I don't know. It was something, a political move. We'll see where it goes, I guess.
And that brings up a good point, though, Luke and Glenn. It's did he just take off right after the battle? Whatever. Did they actually name him King of the Narrow Sea, or was that? I mean,
he had the crown thing or whatever. I don't know if he just whittled that himself or.
While on Dragonback, he's just whittling. It's just
I got so much time. We got a 3-hour ride.
The sneakiness of him. You might underestimate his sneakiness. Could be. Sneaky. Thank you for getting that.
Yeah.
But it's so like I hadn't thought about it that way until you guys were saying like, yeah, he might have just taken off and all that. Is it possible that he just used that as his little inroad there again, to V. So just something to think about.
Is that a duck?
No, that's a snake. It does kind of look like a duck from here, though. It's definitely.
If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
I think that's.
It is a little. It is a little.
I think that's a duck, man.
Do hit colon type in snake. That's what's gonna show up. I promise.
Colon snake.
Yeah, here's a duck. Boom. There's a duck. We're talking about the live chat, which is great for the podcast listeners.
No.
But hey, now you can imagine what it would be like if you were a podcast listener to jump in on one of the live stream chats. So there you go. We can talk about ducks and snakes and how they're basically the same animal.
Oh my God.
It is a snake, but if you look at it from far away,
I see it. I certainly see it.
I don't know.
I feel like it's a mallard.
No, the second one's definitely the mallard with the green head.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And Benji's got what, a dove?
Stop looking at me.
That's a swan.
Stop looking at me, swan.
Oh. goodness.
All right,
All right,
Abby, any thoughts
moving
on the Valarians and Bravos and the political side, or you want to move
I
it
mean,
along?
not
Talk about the
really,
dock
unless we
more.
want to reference the chat again, and I'm in total agreement. I just need more Corliss. Like, I don't. You've covered it well. Him and his hair, I need it all day long.
So Rhaenyra heads back to her quarters, right, and is left a package. She tells Sir Kristen goodnight, goes inside, and there's a bag full of looks like rags and a little message.
And how did she know?
She smelled it.
Well,
Looked like
But because
Whoever
it
smelled
smells
it
like a
dealt it.
dragon. Do you think it smells like a
It smelled
dragon?
like
Remember how
dragon
we
It could smell like
I think it
That
smelled
was a
like flea
thing. That was
bottom.
a thing
I bet
before.
it smelled like flea bottom.
You think so?
Like,
I
It
don't
had some
know.
kind of smell.
So
yeah.
Abby, I'm gonna reference. This is an old VHS that we had a long time ago.
Bark, bark, bark.
Not that
Sorry, go
one.
ahead.
Not
Sorry.
that one.
That's-
I don't remember what it is. You're the only person that would I think would know what this is, if anyone does. And it's like an old fairy tale cartoon, and there's three
Yeah.
sisters that live in a room, and
the
one of them
gets
starts
trapped down the
disappearing.
door.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we follow her and we find out, oh, there's this
Uh-huh.
handsome guy who takes her dancing, and she's like entranced.
Yeah.
And then later on, the other sister, she comes back the next morning, right? And
Yep.
the other sister's like, where have you been? She's like, I wasn't anywhere. What are you talking
Right, I've
about?
been.
And then the next night, the other two sisters go with them, and there's two other handsome guys, and they take them dancing, kind of down in this dungeon thing. And then you find out, like, I don't know if it was like a moonlight thing or something. Something changes, and you clearly see that they're like monstrous, right?
Yes.
It's almost like the
Yes.
reverse Beauty and the Beast thing. Do you remember that? Clearly, you're showing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I remember it, and I'm trying to come up with a name, and now I'm just gonna Google everything you just described because it is real.
But that's what this felt like to me when she
Yes.
goes through the wall, down these
Yep.
stairs, and she's like clearly.
Mhm.
And I'll let Benji take it from here in just a second because I like his note a lot. That's like the fairy tale, like escape from your
Yeah.
princess
We are
life
Googling. It
type
might be
thing
like
is what it feels like to me.
the Secret Princess or the I don't know.
Secret Garden.
No,
I don't think it's that. But so she goes to the door. She changes. She trusts this note. Goes through the door, and Benji.
So I don't know about anybody else, but fucking Damon looked like
Regular Damon too.
Enzo. Or no,
Ezio.
Ezio Auditore.
Auditore.
Ezio Auditore. I'm like, okay, we're Assassin's Creed it. I was expecting some parkour off the rooftops, just
Where there be a
jumping,
guard. Hey, what are you doing here?
Hey.
swan dive into a practically placed
You're under
hay
arrest.
bale.
No, see,
You
Benji,
know.
we had that in Rings of Power last episode. Galadriel had a moment like that.
I barely. Are you talking episode 3 or 4?
3.
3. I half watched that one.
look at AK.
What- Poor Grimm's fairy tale. Okay, run. There it is.
Yeah,
It was
it
a
has to be.
Nickelodeon.
We just had it on
Yeah.
VHS, whatever it
Yeah,
was.
Did
because
you
we
tape?
Which
did
was
not
right-
one of them
have
tape?
Nickelodeon.
Probably
mom used to
recorded
tape.
at
It could have
Grandpa's.
been recorded on
My
the
mom
VCR.
used to record like,
Absolutely possible.
everything.
It's definitely possible.
She recorded Old Yeller, but wrote on the thing Old Yellow. We gave her.
As one more quick reference to this app, it was very much in the same time that we were watching King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table cartoon
Yep.
on Sunday mornings.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's
Mhm.
that.
It was creepy.
But I liked how smooth he walks through the city. I mean, he is known as the King of Flea Bottom or Prince of Flea Bottom, right?
Mhm.
Something like
Yep,
that.
he's certainly
Uh,
comfortable
and-
here.
Yeah, and so like he's moving around, showing her,
Mm.
everything, and it's a little later on the scene, but I love the, where she goes to eat something just that somebody was holding. He goes, "You pay for shit down here. You pay for what you eat here in Flea Bottom Street, Red." And she just yoink, and he's like, "I got it," because everybody knows, even undercover, who he is. you
Yeah,
know, that-
clearly.
it's assumed. They all know who he is, but so that's why he was just like. People respected why he said what he said,
Yeah, I think she certainly seems drunk on this freedom, right? Drunk on this chance at independence.
Yeah,
Because-
she gets called boy at one point.
And she's like, he called me boy. Like, just like the joy in her voice of being mistaken for not being the princess, right? It's very much like Arya. like it's like she just is Arya in this moment where she's always being forced to be Sansa, kind of. And it's just interesting to see how she handles it, and she's just loving every moment of it at this point,
What
right?
I remember like feeling as I was watching that specific part is being like, wow, I'm getting really strong. Do you trust me? Vibes.
Sure, yeah.
I had text Glenn. He was like, hey, the scenes are broken down. I was like, has anybody made an Aladdin reference yet? And he's like, I don't think so. And I was like, cool, because all I could feel was Aladdin. Like,
Street rat.
Aladdin.
yes, I don't buy that. And anyways, as we get a little closer, and he's just a poor no. But it was just that whole what you're just saying right there, Arya being allowed to not have to be who she was supposed to be, and Princess Jasmine having the freedom to just be a person. And I'm like, man, I get real just I don't know. Whatever that town's called in Aladdin, I don't
Agrava.
Agrabah.
thank you.
Agrava.
Aggravated. Got it.
3 for 3. Nice job. Nice job,
Welcome
team.
to
That's what we're here
Agravale.
for.
Welcome to
Can
Agravale.
I jump a little backwards, like
Yeah.
just slightly? I really have
Just
a
don't hurt
problem.
yourself.
I won't actually jump. I'm just gonna figuratively do it. I have a problem with all scenes in any movie and or show, or the plot is they have been a secret door has been revealed in your childhood bedroom. Like, I'm sorry. I lived in a 900-foot square house that you could like I checked every single thing. Like, we didn't even have wood floors, but I'm trying to like bang on concrete in the basement to see if there's a trap. Like, you're telling me she has
You gotta
lived
go
here.
to the bookshelf and pull a
You,
Tale of
you
Two
never
Cities.
found my, you never
and
you
then-
never found my tunnel that I imagined for
The
decades.
hamsters ran through. No, I'm just kidding. But like
But then when
I'm
you do live
sorry.
somewhere and you find one, it really freaks you out. You're like, what the
Oh,
hell
right.
else is going on in this house?
But I mean,
There's
like,
probably a meth
this-
lab down there.
You cannot tell me that all she had to do was just behind her bed go.
It
and
was just
all-
like a bench that like you could just be sitting there
Yeah,
and
there
like
was-
lean back.
There's
and
like
go,
there's
"Oh,
like she had like blueprints
know.
about how to sneak out or whatever.
like an
And
elevation
I
drawing. of the
tried
wall.
to talk myself out of this train of thought because I was like, maybe she did know. It didn't say she. No, she was given a fucking map. Like,
She didn't even have to tickle the pear.
I'm a map. I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map.
I think that's a perfect way to end it. It just bothers me. I hate it. Do
In
better.
fairness, though, Ab, no, you can't really say do better. It has been set in precedent from the original series, from the novel itself, that Maegor had all the stuff.
But
you know,
she lived in this
built in-
room at this point for at least 19 years and she's never touched that wall. Bullshit.
What's the point
I'm
of
gonna have
touching
to.
the wall?
You just have to start touching everything in
I
rooms.
did. I remember, like, I don't know, like, I don't. She never got a wild hair up her ass in the middle
bet
of the
that whole
night
wall
to
would come down if you
rearrange
wanted to.
all
Yeah.
of her furniture. Come on.
So we'll work.
Alright.
We're gonna have to work on secret rooms
All right.
Call
for all our
production.
houses.
All
Sorry,
right.
that's enough.
So let's get to the nitty gritty of this series of scenes, right? So they get further into Flea Bottom. They get to a bit of the whorehouse area, and he's kind of leading. Damon's leading Rhaenyra through. She's getting her first glimpse of some of these things. It seems.
Do we talk about the show at all?
No, go for it. I missed that. You're right.
The show.
Oh, the show.
All right. So, I mean, I think it was definitely eye-opening for like. So, basically, the show is this. It's very reminiscent to like the Arya scene when she was in Bravos, I believe, and they're talking about basically her family. This is kind of the same thing where people are talking about specifically her and her position and stuff like that, and I think at this point, like, she's been named heir, and she's probably like, okay, like, everyone is just on board, cool.
Oh.
But she gets to, by basically everyone booing and shit like that whenever they're like, should Rhaenyra be on the seat? Or should, she doesn't have a cock.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly unexpected for her, I think. She just assumes, well, the small folk love me, of course they do. Why wouldn't they? It's just similar to what like Tyrion went through of like, I've done everything right for them. Like I've saved them and they still shit all over him for these other things that he had no part of, right? Just because of circumstances and, just prejudices that are inherent in the society. They just get the shaft no matter what. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. And it's interesting that it's also a mummer's show, which is similar to how like some of the things that Tyrion learned about how people view him as well back in season like 3 or so, maybe 2.
Yeah, 2 when he was Hand.
Right. But that's frustrating. And she kind of like boo hiss, when they're kind of like, no, it's got to be the baby because he's got a cock. And David's like, dude, this one's like you're not going to sway this crowd right now. Like, let's.
Right, just if you want. Like, right. It's, But I think it was healthy for her to see that, people are not necessarily all on her side.
Do you think she actually thinks anybody's on her side? Really? With the conversations?
Yeah. Isn't her name
she doesn't know that
Pride of King's Landing or the joy of King's Landing? That's what she's been told.
I don't think she believes that though. Like she has said multiple times, like I don't know. I could be definitely wrong,
I just think it was probably eye opening seeing people
like,
booing
they
her
really
though.
Fucking hate me. Like yeah, I get that there's talk behind my back, but to like outwardly be like, I absolutely hate this girl, I think was definitely eye-opening.
Who's sitting right there?
And she's here.
She was under any impression that people loved her because she's felt threatened.
I don't think they're necessarily showing hate for her. They're just not behind her being the leader.
Well, that's what I think that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that she was under any assumption that all these her subjects or whatever they are were on her side ever. And that's why the contention with Viserys and everything that happened last episode was. I don't think she came in here thinking, oh, this is a shocking revelation. I think, wow, so blatantly being talked about like this on the street is a little bit hurtful, but I don't think she was necessarily shocked.
I wouldn't say shocked. Like, sorry,
no, I just don't think it showed her anything she didn't know. I think it just showed her like, wow, this really fucking sucks. Like,
and I read it a different way. Like, I wouldn't say shocked, but because she knew the High Lords, like the Lords would go for her brother, for Aegon or whatever. That's what she had assumed, or everything like that, or is ready for that. But the small folk, she figured would follow the king's wishes and would, because and so that's where so she starts seeing the small folk act this way. She's a little taken aback. I would say shocked, but taken aback.
She thought she had them.
Yeah,
but it was like the self-serving hand and the people who felt like they could vie to a better seat themselves. I didn't take it that way, and I'm not saying you're wrong. It is eye-opening to see it from a different light.
But I also, in the way this goes, like after this happens, it didn't seem like it broke her spirit on the night. Like that could just destroy somebody and be like, I'm going home. Like I'm done. But she just kind of rolled with it.
A different perspective, and definitely sets up later in the episode whenever, the Hand is talking shit about her or whatever, and she's like, he just wants his son to be on the fucking, or his grandson to be on the throne.
Yeah, and maybe she takes some of this and lets it influence some of the choices she makes moving forward. Hey, let's get in the gossip columns. So they do that, right? They walk through the brothels and they see some sexual things going on, and
brown chicken, brown cow,
some nakeds,
some nudarians are on display, and she's seemingly enjoying seeing some of these things. And Abby, I'm gonna let you kind of run with it here for a minute.
Does anybody have anything about this sexual escapade up until the very end, because my real thought is just the very end when he leaves. That's it.
With Damon.
Yes, like when Damon leaves, that's where mine starts. So if
Okay.
anybody else has something before,
Yeah,
Glennie?
I'll say something, I guess. I think what Damon was, and like, his Rhaenyra's thought process this whole time was like, oh, I'm just gonna, and like, I think at the same time, you see, like in a parallel thing, like basically the king summoning Alicent for sex or whatever, and just kind of seeing
Mhm.
her just, laying there while he is on top of her and stuff like that. And I think that's what Rhaenyra's perspective of sex was, as well. I'm just
A duty.
going to, have somebody, put babies in me and stuff like that, and I'm just gonna have to take, but
it's something to endure, not
Yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is too, at this scene is actually when we get the juxtaposition of Allison dealing with the baby crying and
Uh-huh.
being
Yeah.
like, this is like the Streets of Silk scene is her dealing, like being alone, having to deal with. So we have Rhaenyra's freedom to explore all of this, and Allison is trapped
trapped, and she
alone.
can't even go to sleep because then she's woken up
Well,
to
yeah.
Goddamn
Yes.
babies.
get, to
Exactly.
get ready to.
After
you know.
she's cared for him already in the bath, kicked everybody out to make him comfortable.
Yep.
She's
Right.
made the baby comfortable. She's trying to make him comfortable. She's ready for bed.
We did
I'm
skip that
s-
scene.
No, that's
that
okay. I'm
scene.
so glad that you brought that up.
But I'm
Glenn,
okay with it.
because, like, it's heartbreaking to me. Like, that's okay though. But I like the idea, Benj, of like that being against Rhaenyra's like wild out night. The
Well, they're
Alice.
clearly showing how this is a very different set of lives than I think either of them expected.
And like, furthermore, like, I think like Damon's thought process was like you can enjoy sexual pleasures as well. I mean, I don't really like the route that ended up getting to, I guess, but I think that's what his intention was.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I'm just going to outright say it, clearly abuse. Like, this should not happen at all. This is a pretty terrible thing that happens. I don't think we need to dwell on this for too long. There are much smarter, much more tactful groups of podcasts that will probably analyze this specific
And-
scene at much further length than we will.
Well,
Check out Girls
and
Gone Canon,
probably,
probably. I would say they're a
like,
solid one to listen
even
to.
like medical professionals like that are psychiatric.
So
or-
he clearly makes the move, right? And it leans into it, right? That I think is obvious,
Right.
but that doesn't make it okay. And he tries to follow through, but he can't quite even seal the deal, even though he was all gung
Why?
ho.
What do you mean? Like, so he couldn't get hard? Is that what we were supposed to believe in this scene?
That's
How?
what is insinuated. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I
There
took
is
it as
impotence. There is impotence going on here.
know that.
We do have that history there, but
Who-
I took it
What
more
fucking
of a-
history?
Well, that happened
When was
in the first
in
episode
episode one with
when
Oh,
when what's her
Marissa-
face was like, "Do you want me to go get?"
But okay, sure, he was hard, but he couldn't come. That's different.
No, I don't know. I think he didn't.
He was fucking
lost.
riding that girl. And
but
he
it was
stopped.
it was like it was a drop. It was a
I
it's
think
gone.
like what they said in the
Like
the
I don't know.
aftermath
I've never
of
had
the
this problem,
episode-
so this is new to me. Tell more.
What they said in the aftermath of the episode was he found that he wasn't in control, so he got cold feet, I guess, and just left.
It was almost like she was
That's
taking
what-
too much control,
Yeah.
and that's what lost it for him.
That's what they said. One of the directors,
One of the writers or-
Bloomin' writers, or whatever.
Mhm. Sure.
That's what they said.
Yeah, but they clearly called it impotence after the episode, that he couldn't finish the job. But again, that doesn't
I
make
just
it
didn't
better
really-
at all.
and I
didn't-
heard that I took it as couldn't finish it because
I didn't
He
even think it
basically
ever went
second-guessed
in.
himself
I
and
thought he
doubted,
just,
like, he just-
rejected her. Like, I don't know.
I don't think it was necessarily a rejection. I think it was he couldn't get it done, but she was at that point, problematic
Wow,
or
this
not,
makes me
all
feel
in.
so differently about everything. I should have watched the behind the scenes, apparently.
Mikey Too Hard, it
I
says,
did, but
his green duck deflated.
This green duck that, if you look closely, is a snake.
It's a
It deflated. Far away, it's a
I
duck.
feel like my
Close
next
up.
notes are null and void at this point.
This
I
is-
need like
No,
That is
because I mean,
ridiculous.
I
So, not to get
I
back
read
on the
that scene the
snake.
same way, and even I watched the
Absolutely
the episode stuff, and
yeah.
I heard it as he couldn't push himself to there, not a physical thing, like it was he stopped himself.
Really
But
thought like
that's-
I was like, I don't understand what his motivation was to do this. And then he just denies her and he's like, nope, stop, bye. Like that is how I took the
Bye,
whole
Felicia.
thing. My last note, like what I was talking about at the end, like that still stands because fuck him. I'm done with him. But like I didn't know. I'm confused, but getting on the right track, I guess.
I mean, I can't
fine.
say that we are outright correct, but that going with the context that at least that's what the writers were somewhat intending. That's
had no
sort of.
idea.
It sounds like it's coloring what Glenn and I are thinking, because I watched that
Abs-
too, and it changed the way I thought about that scene, at least
Had I known
on
that-
the intent.
Had I known that like completely different kind of, because I thought I was like, what is his motive for doing this? And then being like, no, bye. Like, what? I was very confused, but that's crazy. All right.
Final thoughts on Damon right here. He leaves.
This is my only thought on this is, it is completely unacceptable. I don't care if you can't get the job done. I don't care if she pisses you off. I don't care if she slaps you across the face. I don't care. You do not take a female into this city where she has obviously never been. This is her first time. And you leave her to find her own way home. Like, that is, first of all, like girl code, you don't leave your girls behind, right? Like, we go together, we stay together, we leave together, no matter how mad we're at each other. That is like, there is no coming back from that. That is a deal breaker. That is a relationship ender. Fuck him. Like, I'm done with him forever. I don't care about his Jaime redemption arc. You don't do that. It's dirty, it's nasty, and I am not here for it. Like, you don't do that to somebody.
As Sarah points out in the chat, though, his whole motivation in reality was to ruin her reputation, and
Which is
basically
fine.
because he knows what he wants, and he wants her, and he makes.
But then
it
he
known-
fucking leaves. He
Like if
leaves
something
for-
would have happened to her,
You-
like that,
I
like
know.
I'm not saying
I-
leaves
I-
because I'm saying he literally left her in such a dangerous position. Like,
I
that
understand.
is her uncle.
he was
Like,
responsible
I
for her.
get that we're like trying to have sex at this point, but like it's disgusting. It is
No,
unforgivable.
I think that's what I'm saying. The leaving was part of it, was to help her, so she could be seen, so she could be found in that state.
I see the angle. I don't necessarily think he
I
went
can
doing
see
this to ruin her reputation to become the heir again. I just don't see that. I think this is him with passions and him trying. I mean, there's been chemistry between these two since the
Yeah,
first
there
time
has
they
been.
saw each other. I think this has been on his mind and for a while, and we'll get to this a little bit later too. You know, this is kind of how their family works to some, a little
Cialis.
bit. What'd you say? Cialis?
Yeah.
Two, what was it? Two like
I think
bathtubs.
my friends are back.
Yeah.
It might be loud in a minute here.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Just, yeah.
So moving past Damon here. Rhaenyra gets back to her quarters again, and gets pretty interested in Kristen Cole because her mojo's flowing right now. It seems like
Her engines are revved.
she is primed. The choke has been pulled.
Yeah.
It's the prime has been hit at least 10 times with a lawnmower.
It's
She's
been
ready to have
optimized.
the pull string with the ripcord pulled, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
So,
is when we
my-
start
my-
seeing the back-to-back scenes with Alicent
Yeah.
being called by the king. And I mean, for me, we've kind of touched on it briefly, but it's really interesting to see how Alicent is being kind of used as a commodity here, and
Mhm.
Ray is being used as a true passion attraction thing.
Oh,
And it really flows into everything we've seen on these two scenes interweaving throughout all of this. I mean, Rhaenyra's been pretty upset at Alicent, but like you see the difference. like she just wouldn't be happy to see what's going on for her friend Alicent
No.
at this point. So I thought it was really interesting how they wove those two plots in this night side by side, clearly on purpose to show the differences.
So
Bench,
2 notes with the scene. First one, so many laces. Just so many fucking laces have to go through.
on the armor.
On the armor, and then her boots, like I had to undo every lace on the boots. I'm sorry, I timed it on the second watch through. 2.5 minutes of undressing. I'm sorry, that's just a bit excessive. Just for a show, it's just almost dead. I know you're trying to build the
You
tension,
gotta
build
get faster than that.
just come on, let's move along. But that was my joking note. But one note I saw at like later on from a few Reddit threads and everything, and I kind of agree with it. If you feel bad for Alicent in the scene, you should equally feel bad for Kristen Cole, because he may have been a bit more willing, but there's still the exact same power dynamic going on as the king ordering his queen, as the princess commanding and guiding her sworn knight into the room. He really couldn't refuse, there, or at least he felt he couldn't refuse. So I'm just saying, I did read the note. I'm like, that's a fair point.
Well,
If you feel bad for Alicent in the scene,
he's
you should
supposed
feel
to have.
equally.
He's supposed to be celibate. Is that what
Yep,
the deal
absolutely.
Yes. He is
But-
sworn to
Yeah.
celibacy, and everything like that. So she's making him break his vow and everything like that. So, and it's, yes, is it more passionate? Is there more caring in that scene? Sure. Does it feel like it should feel better? Yeah. But in the crux of it, it's really not, and I read that, thread, and I was like, okay, that's completely
think-
fair. And it kind of changed my view on the scene. a
He's
bit.
probably honorable and stuff like that, so it's probably sucks for him. But like, how many White Cloaks have broke their vow though? Like, it's probably we don't know for sure, but like,
Well, Luke more the
I'm-
Lusty. He was.
I'm
yeah.
sure that it happens more than you'd think.
Yeah, but I feel like also like saying that is a lot of times where like we refuse to believe that guys are sexually assaulted. Like, but I
I
mean, you
kind of
liked
agree with
it. I
that.
mean, like, who wouldn't want to do that? And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I feel like my entire no, like, I'm just done for tonight. After what you two just told me about him not being able to like finish the deed, and then Benji, like, I have no thoughts. Like,
Abby's just
I-
broken right now.
no,
broke
because
it.
like you just totally turned this. I literally have written down here something like this was like beautiful and it was so no, like, and I'm not saying that. I'm trying to be kind and open-minded and understand where Christian Cole could feel very violated. Like he didn't
This is also
necessarily have a
abuse. This is abuse.
choice, and I never even saw that. And that makes
It's
me
the
feel
same reverse
bad.
that Damon
Like,
had to some
it-
extent. It's
It
pretty
makes me
similar.
feel like
So
there are so many more lenses that I need to open, and
like I said before we started this
And-
episode, before Benji was on the call,
Not my thoughts.
I had
That-
said
no,
this might be one of the more complicated episodes we've ever talked about because
my
of
note
this
literally
series of scenes.
says, and I will like own it and say like that was whatever. Like it was like it's like beautiful and it's so. And then I'm like, God, I'm wrong. And whoever wrote this, and Benji, you probably said it. There's lots of things going on beyond this door over here.
We can't hear it. So
That's good. There's a bit of a skirmish or something going on. I don't know, but that is a very valid point. And it's really hard for me not to just like immediately be like, well, that's not. I'm glad I took a pause to be like, let's think that is insane to me. Like, personal work needs to be done. My notes are out of here. I've thrown them 3 times.
No, and again, it was a
Go ahead,
beautifully
Ben,
shot scene. Sorry, I don't want to, misconstrue. It was a beautifully shot scene, and without that lens of thought, because you saw the romantics, between those
Yes.
two, and everything from the last episode, and the flirting, and all that. So it made complete sense. But I could say the exact same thing for Alicent and the King in episode 2, and what are the flirting and the, coming together, and even earlier in this episode at the bath scene, the very flirty, romantic relationship. So you take that power dynamic out of it. Now just Alicent's bored, and Rhaenyra is having fun. That's fine. But you add in those dynamics, and it does change the perspective.
It 100% changes the perspective here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's coercion. It's an authority figure. I mean, literally, this is the person who gave you your position. She has all authority, and as Sasuke is pointing out, which I've been letting people go here for a minute, and it's been great for sure. If Viserys finds out about it, it doesn't matter if he's coerced. He's dead. Like,
Right.
Kristen Cole is dead if Viserys finds out that this actually happens. Clear, like without a hesitation. And we'll talk more about what happens when he does find out things like this later on. But it's a real problem. And yes, they probably enjoyed themselves, right? But this desire versus authority thing is really, really a problem. And it really, I like that they made a very, very firm gesture, and that wasn't a good time to use the word firm, a very strategic placement of a shot where they show Kristen Cole laying down his white cloak. Like, they make it almost like ceremonious for him. And like, clearly he knows that this is like, I might be making a choice right here, and it could be everything, but I don't know. I thought it was shot beautifully. It showed how complicated, if you're in the mindset of what we just saw with Daemon and Ray, and we also are just now seeing what's happening with Alicent and Viserys, and now we see what's happening with Ray and Kristen Cole. Like, to me, it's just like
Kristen Cole.
Clearly they're showing how complicated some of this stuff gets rather quickly, right? I mean,
especially that armor.
For him, yeah, it's complicated. But I think for Rhaenyra, though, like, this is who she wants to have sex with.
I agree. I think her intentions are good.
Like,
yes.
I think they're all the schlubs at the tour and stuff like that. She's like,
no, I picked Kristen Cole.
Yeah.
I picked him once. I picked him again and again.
I would fuck Kristen Cole over these
over
assholes.
These schlubs.
These schlubs and flubs.
Schlubs and flubs.
Oh yeah, that's a whole game show.
It's another show.
It's another game show. You got to start watching more Wheel Detectives. That's all I'll say.
Thanks.
This week on Scoops, Schlubs, and Flubs.
Oh boy.
And what was the other one? Jame is Winston.
Jame is Winston. Oh man, this fall on the CW. Some people don't know that Jame is also Winston.
We don't have time to
we don't have time. Yeah. Anyway. So
through inside jokes,
some really, really complicated scenes, I think, overall. Some of them were cool. Some of them were rough to watch. A lot to talk about. And I think let's go ahead and cut it there, unless anyone has a final thought.
I had the question mark when I said sex, because it was like, sex?
Is it? Like, should it have been? Like, it's complicated. And that might be the term.
That's not something, hey, what do you, as an uncle, you wouldn't necessarily say like, hey, you want to go hang out, walk the streets, check
out a brothel,
maybe some sex.
Maybe some sex.
That wouldn't happen.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Absolutely should not happen. Yeah.
So, any final thoughts on this before we move along?
I'm gonna extend this out. It's about Alicent, and do you guys know the song "Good Little Girls Make Some Mighty Wild Women"?
Mm-mm. Sounds like a good song.
I'm sure it's probably one of them. Like, if I heard it, then it'd be like, yeah.
You know it, Glenn.
Sure.
Absolutely. You know it. Good little girls make some mighty wild women. Anyways, it's not that I think she's gonna like wild out or like go, off the rails, whoring around. But what I'm saying is, like, she is so good and so giving, and what her needs are literally bottom of the barrel. She tries to give Rhaenyra what she needs. She defends her even as Rhaenyra is being mean to her. She goes to the king, even though I know she has no leg to stand on to say, no, I'm not going tonight. Like, she does that. She does the bath for him. She takes care of the kids, and her needs are never met. And all that does is build resentment. And resentment is a great building block for the day when her and Rhaenyra finally team up and take over everything. It's gonna be awesome. Like I
Gonna be great.
cannot wait for Alicent's like when she cracks. And I don't mean like crack to be like, oh, I'm going to like the loony bin or I'm going like no, I mean like I've had enough.
She's gonna break loose.
Like she's just if she's gonna be good and perfect and kind up until that point, and nobody's gonna see it coming. They're all gonna be like, oh my god, what's happened to my wife? She's what do they call that? Like when women they would institute them for having like
Like increased
She's having
sexual
her vapors.
desires.
no, like the vapors or like she's gone like mad or there's a word used to use
Yeah.
like and they would put them in hospitalized like they're all gonna be like what has happened to my it's coming and I cannot wait for it like I am here for it.
One very final note on Kristen Cole. This was brought up in the chat. Jake and Sasuke have been chit chatting. I've been kind of catching it, but it is a good point to bring up that Kristen Cole didn't really push back. Like he shows hesitation,
Right.
but he absolutely, agrees. He's in. He
Yeah,
consents.
There's not a lot of
and he doesn't even try to
fight back.
Yeah, there's not much pushback. He doesn't even say like, "Oh, this goes against my vows. Like we probably shouldn't do this." He doesn't play that card. I'm not saying that changes a whole lot, but it's worth noting certainly that he clearly wants this too. Again, doesn't really make it okay because of the authority thing. But yeah, and also Sasuke just says that Alicent needs a womanizer toy and let her know that she has two hands. Might as well use them. So there's that.
I have not read anything like Alicent is gonna be a problem, but in the best way. I cannot wait until I just know it's coming. It has to be.
She's not, but it is.
She
Yes.
hasn't yet.
Are we done yet?
Glendog, take us to the next scene,
Take us
please.
to the next scene. The next scene is Otto receives a message from a white worm. Mysaria tends to a hungover Daemon. The hand struggles to relay the message to the king. Rhaenyra is requested to meet with Alicent in the Godswood to discuss the affairs from the night before. Likewise, Viserys demands the presence of Daemon to talk of the same affairs. Daemon is then sent packing. The king and queen compare notes.
Benj, why don't you kick us off here?
So I know Otto's a snake. You know
or
Otto's
a duck.
snake. Everybody.
Could be a
Or a
duck.
Be a duck.
Or a duck. What else floats? Small
Very
rocks.
small snakes.
Very small snakes.
Is this a snake or a duck?
We're having fun, folks.
Snake duck.
That's the next meme. Just put up a picture of like a falcon. Is this a snake or a duck?
That could be the episode title, Snake Duck.
I'm pretty sure Glenn just on Team Cow.
Team Cow.
It is a cow.
It's a hiss cow.
Everything
It's
is
a hiss move.
Hey, let me tell you something. Everything is a cow. You can write this down. Everything is a cow if you just say it's a cow.
You can write this down.
It's a small cow, a his cow,
Take a little note.
a floating
Write this
cow.
down. Take a little note.
Everything is a cow if you just say it's a cow.
What?
Take notes.
Oh, good.
All right, Benj, go for it. Sorry.
Anyway, I know he's slimy and everything like that, but in this scene, I've seen him doing the underhanded tactics to Viserys, where he's almost worm tongue-ish, like my lord, very very creepily trying to sneak his way into shit, and or ducking his way in. But this scene, I didn't get that from.
He's snaking
I
and ducking.
genuinely got it as he got this information and he brought it to the king. Like just by his facial expressions, by his actions, by his mannerisms, he wasn't being the slimy, or at least I couldn't read it that way. But he wasn't being that, sneaky, kind of underhanded guy. I'm trying. There we go. Got one.
I completely agree with you, Benji.
We're dying,
Like,
sorry.
I
it's
know.
okay. You can die. We'll take it from
Yeah.
you. But
But
I
And
don't
so
see it another way. I don't know if, again, I have watched this entire episode completely wrong, so do not take my word for it. But
no.
like, I I think I will jump. No, I'm not actually jumping ahead, but like, for this to be like the nail in the coffin for Otto, how? Like, I don't.
Slander.
Slender, yeah.
It is like
But
the
like, well,
least
and like,
self-serving thing he has done at this point.
But how does Viserys know that? Why is it? Why would he trust this? He doesn't trust it.
yeah,
Not yet.
no,
I
and like
get it, but
that's the weird thing. It's like
it's
because we've
just funny
seen,
to me.
yeah, we get to see as the third party viewer his underhandedness and all that shit. But we don't see Viserys catching on to that. And so yeah, for him to catch on that quick of, oh, you're just trying to slander my daughter and this and that for your own needs. And it's like, where the fuck are you picking that up from? In the sense of apart from just suspicions that we haven't been alluded to. So, but anyway, it was just like an I don't know. I just noticed it during the scene, and again, we know what's going on in the actual thought processes, but at the same point, it was an odd thing I noticed. He felt genuine in this scene as the hand, apart from Aegon's grandfather.
Glendog, counterpoint.
If you snake when you're supposed to duck, you're gonna have a bad time. We know this already.
Good.
No, my note on this one, Otto, he just looks like such a wuss. Like when he's fumbling through, trying to tell the scoop to Viz, like just say what you got to say it with your chest, and he does not, and he just is like, well, and he sent me that meme earlier where he's just,
Go ahead, say it, and it just shows
like what
Otto
he just said.
going-
So I got a message that Damon fucked Rhaenyra last night. That's all he has to say. But he just, I mean, the only thing I thought was cool of him was he said something like, they were hanging out at the hour of the owl. I think I'm gonna start using that from now on. Like just
That's when she came. That's when she came into the castle. Was at the hour of the owl.
yeah.
No idea when the fuck that is.
He's like, hey, what'd you guys do last night? Oh, we were at the bar and stuff. Oh, how late you stay there? We're out past the owl, That's a good one.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, what'd you do last night? I had to go catch a bat. He was up past the hour of the owl.
He was out past the hour of the owl. So what time is that? 3 a.m. or something?
I guess. The way, I mean, for me, I think Otto von Hightower, he knows that Viserys
Hightower.
understands what this accusation looks like, right? He's hesitant, in my opinion. Like, does he look kind of weak? Maybe. Does he look genuine? I think so. He understands
He's
that
definitely
Viserys,
struggling to try to tell him,
he knows how
he doesn't wanna do it.
complicated this is because, he knows Viserys will be like, well, shit, he knows that it's going to help my
So,
grandson and all this.
I think where was we said Damon has that swagger. Otto does not have that.
Right. He's got, in his mind, the facts. And, like, that's hard to refute until it looks like it's self-serving.
Right.
And I just, the thing I thought of here is, almost 200 years later, Microfinger would have had no problem handling this, like if he was the one delivering this information, or even Varys, they just would have like, they wouldn't have been in positions to gain like this.
Tell me the news.
specifically.
Tell me the news in a good way. Robin of Luxie, he kicked our ass.
He came in and he kicked. That's terrible news. Why are you laughing?
Oh, what? One thing we didn't mention though, sorry to kind of jump.
No, you're good.
While you guys are in your giggles,
Yeah, we've had church giggles over here with the snake stuff.
Or
we saw a new member
Come get
of
some.
the council at the earlier scene. The new Master Whispers, from what I've learned, is Clubfoot.
Mm.
Is that Lionel Strong?
Lionel Strong.
Lionel Strong, and we did see his brother as well during the sexcapades.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In King's Landing as well. But so that's the other thing that you have to kind of wonder is why is Otto getting this information and not Lionel? why is Lionel not the one receiving the direct information? So it does show you his sneakiness of he was having her specifically followed instead of Lionel using his little birds.
I don't think Lionel is that kind of guy. Like, it seems like Otto is more inclined to have spies and shit. I think Lionel's more genuine and stuff, and like, I want to do what's right for the realm and all that jazz. If that makes sense, it probably doesn't.
Yeah.
No, I think you're good.
I'm good.
Yeah, nice job, Glenn. This kind of moves forward to, Alicent is overhearing this as the accusation, the vile accusations are being brought forth, which are sort of true. Nothing technically happened, but all of the intent was there. I think that's good enough for the slander stuff to be brought up. And Alicent, goes and talks to Rhaenyra a little bit later, right? And she lets her know that, like, hey, my dad kind of reported some stuff to the king that could be like kind of a real problem. And, instantly the switch is flipped where Ray Lewis is like, I'm a princess. To question my virtue is treason.
Ray Lewis from the Baltimore Cravens.
The Baltimore Cravens. Like, she very much just instantly goes in defensive damsel mode, right? Am I wrong there? Like,
you're not wrong.
Vile accusation.
It's a vile accusation.
I would never.
But
it's
you tried to, and then you actually did differently.
Bullshit. It's a perfect.
All right, well, no, my notes are wrong here too. Never mind. Lie. Continue.
So in this scene, Luke, I do have one little note with it. And it's kind of an overarching for the whole episode, but the actress who plays Alicent, her facial expressions were so just odd this episode. And the main one that stuck out to me was Sullied. Like, she had this weird, like, scrunch face, like almost as bad as Galadriel's conflicted, facial expressions from the other show there. But it's just a weird, like, scrunch face thing that I
the
just,
other show.
Yeah, because I was told I cannot besmirch the other show on this show, and I'm not besmirching
Lord of the Rings, the other show.
But it's one, like, I don't know, her acting's been fine, and it just, some of her, it's been very dull until that very moment, and then dull again the rest of the episode. And, like, get it, she's supposed to be dull in this part because that's what she's been broken down to, but it's just so weird of body acting in that scene that just it took me out of it.
Okay. In general, I thought she's been pretty brilliant throughout these episodes. I thought she's been really good in general, but that's just my take on it. But that one didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of it on that scene. But I can see what you're saying. It's a little Bilbo seeing the ring back in Rivendell. It, like, clearly just jumps at like CGI on the face.
It just took me out of it. That's all.
Yeah, where's
for the most part, I'm a fan of her.
You're saying Ray Lewis is in full denial. When Daemon gets kind of questioned and stuff like that, he is almost like, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Like, who
could have?
So
what's the big deal?
So the fuck what? Like, who cares?
I put what in the who now?
Who'd I fuck now? Who was it?
Yeah, and I think he just explains, like, well, what if I just, maybe I could marry the girl and stuff like that. And I think that's when, kind of Viserys, you just want the throne. Like, I think he just kind of takes it as, you don't give a shit about her, or like, you just want, this is a selfish move for you to get closer to the throne that maybe you thought you should have had before.
And I think this is closer to where I feel like his actual intention is. I think he is attracted to her. He does respect her. They do have a good relationship. I think this has been on his mind for a long time of, they're not too terribly different in age. And this kind of would make sense. This would strengthen the claim of the family pretty wholeheartedly in a very Targaryen way. But we've seen a lot of hesitation on and off from some Targaryens who seem to be more attuned to the realm and what would be allowed, and this seems to be me where it didn't seem like Damon was trying to harm her reputation by doing this. It was more of trying to push the hand to make this idea more palatable, is where I was. And it was passion as well, but to me it was a vie for him to be able to say, well, yeah, her and I should just be married, and then no one would even question it. And then there's no question about the succession either, because you're basically the two heirs that you've named previously, and there's not going to be any question about this other no-name kid, not no-name, but kid who hasn't earned his conqueror's name yet, even though people seem to be loving it. The people love Damon. Like, we've seen that. They would get behind him on this.
And also, you see, what was I going to say? Damn it. Lost my train of thought. I don't know. Somebody else go.
All right, and so sorry, so Luke, that's kind of where I was bringing up the previously of he did this on purpose to sully her reputation, as since Sessa had pointed on the chat. It wasn't to sully her reputation, but it was to bring her down a peg or two to where he might have the chance of convincing Viserys to let this happen. To, not saying it was full set in stone plan kind of thing, but he sees the writing on the wall of what could happen and what could be played up and what he could use to his advantage, because he does care for Rhaenyra. He doesn't care about her status. He doesn't care about anything like that.
Right.
But this is a way that he could get that opportunity to inject himself there, not quite for the throne, but for her.
Yeah, and I think, like, as far as the Targaryen customs, I think this is not out of the bounds for that kind of thing. Is like they married each other all the time, to keep the bloodlines pure. And I think, like, there was, so basically another thing behind the scenes is what they said is, like, Alicent is kind of like against, because she's more inclined to, like, the seven or whatever is part of her, like, religious upbringing and stuff like that. So, and I think she called, like, I know you guys have I think she calls it queer customs or whatever. Basically, like, saying that, Damon and you are going to have a relationship or whatever. Like, it's because, like, you guys have your customs and stuff, but herself is being part of the, loyal to the seven that would never be a thing.
Exactly. No, and that you're absolutely right. She, everybody feels it's a queer custom, but they just accepted it because, oh, this weird Hick family has dragons. Okay, fine. Let the Hicks be Hicks, and we're not going to question it, because I prefer myself more of a sun toasted than a roasted, than a black, than a charcoaled, embers. So yeah, let the Hicks be Hicks.
Sure.
So we have, are we to the point where we can talk about Alicent talking to the king and queen, kind of discussing what happened?
I think we skipped over whenever Damon wakes up hungover or whatever, like in the.
We did kind of skip over that.
I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about it, but it happened.
Yeah. I mean, that girl needs to move on at this point. Like, she's not, like, I don't know what her affection, like, where her affection for him goes and why she's caring for him, but he is undeserving of it, because it's never, ever going to benefit her, really.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's like she said in the previous episode, it was, 2 episodes ago, she was like, you promised you'd protect me. That's the main thing that he offers her, and...
I guess, but, like... I mean, it was a scene.
Did you have any other thoughts on him waking up and being hungover with Mysaria?
I mean... Not really. I mean, it seems like she plays a different role than what we know. Like, we don't really know a whole lot about her. I mean, we've seen her a couple times here and there. Mm-hmm. But is that like his safe haven?
It seems like it. Yeah, I mean, it just seems kind of like they're a couple by circumstance of just, fallback queen kind of thing. And I don't. Either she's going to end up being frustrated and
'Cause
making a move, and
So when we saw her before, she was like in the whorehouse as one of the workers.
as
Is
a
she
whore.
not? She's not that now, though, right?
We haven't
Or
seen
do we
her
not?
there.
Do we know?
We've only had the one other scene that earlier in this episode back in the whorehouse in general since episode 1. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't checked if she's been clocking in and out. I don't have her timesheets.
We need to check.
Benji, you are muted.
I realized. So I think this is more of a paramour style situation where she's a kept woman in the sense of she's only there for him and everything because she's been on Dragonstone or probably even close to the Stepstones for the last 3 years. We have to assume he's kept her close by,
Maybe. I bet he kept her at Dragonstone safe, and he just flew back and forth as
So he's
needed.
keeping her in a
Probably,
cave at
but-
this point? Like,
Well,
sure,
but
up my accommodations.
I mean,
bitch.
possibly, but more likely than not, kept her at, like you said, like Luke said, at the Dragonstone and just flew back and forth. But I don't think she was allowed, or like I get the feeling like he tells her, "You don't have to work," kind of thing. You're kind of Tyrion and Shay. You're mine. You won't be with anybody else besides me until I say we're done. Kind of thing. But I'll make sure your life is set and pretty. And I get that feel from Damon a lot too, that he would do something along those lines of, I don't want you fucking around on shit. So,
But she says something
I
like,
got
"You
you
got to
covered."
pay for the room or whatever," as she's leaving.
Yeah. Well, and I think because they got kicked out of the castle, he was staying in the castle, up
Mhm.
until the night before, at least. And so he was staying on grounds, and then Viserys is like, nope, you're actually, no, this is before the Viserys kicked him out. So he just squandered off. So maybe he did send her back and he just found her. Thinking about it, I mean, it's a good point because I didn't even thought about that line.
Yeah, maybe
know.
they have been separate, at least from the chat. It sounds like there was a comment where it was implied that, it's a lot has changed since they've seen each other, and now you're back from Stepstone Space. And
So I
There
do
we
have
go.
another thought. I really want to meet the bronze bitch. I want her to be like the sweetest, like Ariel, like Disney princess chick you could find, and like the most antithesis of what Damon would want. But that's why he's like so hates her. But like she's like just the perfect, just hey, how are you? What can I do for? Like I just want that to be her. I have no idea if she's ever mentioned more in the book or source material or anything like that. I just want her to be like the coolest chick in the world, and he's just a dick to her because that's who he was told to marry. Like I just I think that would be hilarious.
who, his bronze bitch?
Yeah, the bronze bitch. I think it'd be just a hilarious placement.
It would be fitting for him, certainly.
Yeah.
So Alicent is like clearly all in on trusting Rhaenyra after their conversation earlier, right? Like when she's talking to the king, she's kind of like, no, I asked her, she told me, boom, like 100% in, right? Did anyone else catch that?
Say
There's
it
just, like-
again, Luke. Sorry.
So Alicent is all in on trusting Rhaenyra when she's talking to Viserys about kind of what's going on with Otto von Hightower, Daemon, Ray. And it really just seems like the conversation that they had just half a scene ago, she's convinced. And clearly we know that Rhaenyra blatantly covered for herself and just lied her ass off, right? I mean, do you think that's going to come back to bite her?
Maybe.
Maybe
I
not.
mean, and again,
Uh-huh.
she didn't lie. Allison asked her a question. Rhaenyra answered the question as best as she could, honestly. They didn't fuck. She said,
Well, yeah,
"No,
but then
we
she
didn't
also
fuck."
did with Kristen Cole, 100%. So
Yes, but Allison didn't ask about Kristen Cole.
I know. Answer the questions that are posed, not the ones that are going to get you in trouble.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
Any other?
no,
But she said she said
could.
she didn't.
It could.
He didn't touch her though.
Right.
That's what
He
she
didn't.
said.
He didn't touch me. We went to a show. I shouldn't have gone. He got drunk. He left me.
That's
That-
true.
That's
did
what
say
she
that, so-
says, and there was certainly more than that.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Yeah.
Next set of scenes.
Sure. So we have Rhaenyra meets with her father. The Valyrian dagger is seen in the fire, where inscriptions of a song of ice and fire become visible. They discuss truths, perceptions, and he informs her that her courtship is over. She is set to wed the Sea Snakeson. She agrees, but with an ultimatum. The Hand is relieved of his duties.
Abby,
Hi.
you got any thoughts on these scenes here, or am I catching you off
mean,
guard?
No, you're good. I feel like I touched on it earlier. I just feel like I get it. Like maybe Viserys finally gets the idea of what Otto is doing, but like of all of the things we've seen him do as an outside party watching, like him being a genuine like you said, he was concerned. Like this is what does him in. That to me is hilarious. Like this is I don't know. I just think it's funny that this is what gets him. This is what bites him. This is the snake or the cow
Duck.
or the duck that bites him.
Glenn, any thoughts on the duck, snake, cows,
The duck snake.
or the
or
scene that we're
cows.
talking about?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like. I think Viserys is right as far as like the perception stuff. Like, I think like at the end of the day, when all is said and done, like he does not really care what happens. Like, but the perception is what he cares about more. Is once it gets out and people are talking like, oh, they're just banging each other or whatever. Like, he knows that's gonna kind of put a black cloud on the family name. So I mean, I get that part of it.
It's a bad look, Benj.
Yeah. So going to the first scene there, one of the best lines is, "What? You're just going to marry me off so to get rid of your political headaches? You are my political headache. Do you not see that?" And it's like, and he's absolutely right. Her choices are making his life harder. Granted, his choices made his life harder with core lease and all that shit. But this, because it puts, like Glenn said, a black cloud over the family. And, he calls her out and calls out the whole situation. She's like, if I was a guy, I'd have, 10 bastards and everything by now. But you're not. You were born a girl. And it sucks. And the way he says it, it wasn't like, it's your fault. It sucks to be you, but this is what you have to deal with.
But you're not.
And yeah.
So that scene right there, Benj, there is a show on Apple TV, and it's Emily Dickinson, or it's called The Dickinsons. It's about Emily Dickinson, and my daughter and I will watch it all the time. We love it. And we fell in love the minute that her mom, Emily Dickinson's mom, is like, so and so is coming over to like court you and blah blah blah. And she's like, I don't want them. And she's like, well, you're not gonna behave like you did last time when so and so came over to court you. And she's like, what was wrong with that? And she's like, you acted like a cat. And she goes, you are not a cat. And Emily Dickinson looks at her mother and goes, no, mother, sadly, I am a woman. And I'm Jude and I both are just like dying, like, yep. Like, and it's in that same vein. He does not say it as like be ladylike. No, it's like but this is the lot that you were born with. Like, this is what you have. So I agree completely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the whole, no, mother, sadly, I am a woman.
Hey, can I get in there?
Yeah, what?
Can I get in?
Then, hi, this is
talking about?
we're t-
Oh, jeez.
What? Oh,
Shit.
we are drunk. We are having fun. It's cool. We just keep going. You're good.
So So,
This is my
so,
friend Brewer.
so I read this book called House of the Dragon, right?
You did?
And it's pretty much like this dragon is like fierce. You know what I'm saying?
He's just a mad dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
And it's a house, and people try to come in and they try to
Take over.
take over the house.
I
You
got
know
you.
what I'm saying? But this fucking dragon.
He's
is
like,
mad.
no fucking way, Eddie. You ain't doing that today.
Pretty much like Shrek. You
Like
know what I'm
Shrek.
saying? Like,
Shrek.
the dragon from Shrek. It's
You are now famous on our
for
podcast.
real. It's legit.
Wave to everybody. Wave to all the people. And now,
I,
you have to leave.
I'm the dragon.
Bye. I love you.
I
No,
love
no,
this
you're
shit.
no. I'll fix it. Not a problem. It'd be
What was that?
I was set up for light and friend. It's okay.
Hey.
Continue on in the podcast. I'm muting myself. Bye.
So, you know, we see the dragon bone hilt, right? And we see that it's being used even further as a very, very, like, one of the most important daggers of all time, apparently. Like, this, I don't know. That, I think, is a little silly. Like, it's one thing for it to have been in the story already, just as a tie between how important it is becoming in the Game of Thrones show. This, I don't know. It's just a little thick. I just don't know if it's needed for me.
So one thing I heard, actually, shout out to our buddy Johnny Ghost, Irish Johnny there. He was doing his stream a little earlier today, and they were talking about in the chat of, while they were talking about the Dragonbone Hilt thing, that it could be very much tied into the new Snow show that's in works or talks, because now George is back in the fold and trying. And so it could be Jon Snow's way to retcon, because they're working a lot of prophecy into this. They're working a lot of like this. And so this could be the tie to the Snow series of finalizing the prophecy down the line 2-3 years from now,
Sure.
kind of thing. I mean, and
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
no, I
like,
can
I heard
see
somebody say
something.
that, and I was like, I'd be okay with it. I'd be fine with that theory, or with that happening. Somehow him ending up with the dagger again.
And
that
there
kind
were
of thing.
certainly, even in Fire and Blood, there's certainly this prophecy type thing. Not exactly word for word this, but there's always been things kind of in this vein. So it doesn't bother me that the prophecy is there. It bothers me that it's the same dagger that Joffrey gave to the cat's paw. Like that's the part that it's like,
I know.
What? Like, I don't know.
If it leads to something, I'm for it. Besides, this was the dagger that was used in the Night King. If it leads to anywhere else besides just that, I'm fine. But if that's literally the end game for it, okay, this is just, it's gonna piss me off.
Sure.
You know, I won't know for 5 or 6 years or whatever, but you know, I can let hate linger for a while.
You can brood. So
I can brood.
Can I jump to the scene where Rhaenyra is? Well, we were already kind of talking about where she was talking to Viserys, right? And she like really cuts to the chase, and shows that she sees Otto von Hightower's ambition in this, and like again kind of flips it of like clearly he'd say this. What is von Hightower gonna gain? What do I lose? Everything. Like, she kind of drives the nail in the coffin for Viserys a little bit on what ends up happening here. And it's, self-preservation, but at the same time, like, she clearly kind of flips again, just like she did when Alicent, like, clearly protect yourself and everything, regardless of the truth.
So I got two things. Like, I think first that, like, earlier in the scene, I kind of mentioned, like, this is maybe part of why she had this thought process, because she saw the play or whatever, where people are like, oh, well, who's going to be on the throne? Rhaenyra or this other fucking guy? And like, seeing people like not necessarily be on her side, so to speak. I think she ends up putting the 2 and 2 together that, oh, okay, Otto von Hightower his grandson is, that's where his loyalties lie or whatever. And two, like, I think Viserys at the same time, like, we've seen Otto von Hightower do this kind of shit or whatever, for his personal gain. And I think, like, he's just kind of like, hey, like a head scratching moment. Like, he's trying. I never thought about him trying, only think about himself and stuff like that. He's done all this stuff, and I've never really, like, kind of thought about it. But you're absolutely right. Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to tarnish Rhaenyra's reputation.
Which tarnishes Viserys' reputation too.
Right.
It hurts the whole family at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts here? I've got another thing.
You have.
Go ahead, Bench.
I was sorry. Are we moving to the next part of this section?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Okay.
Take it away.
So then we get Viserys calling
her
on
away,
Otto
Ern.
Hightower. What?
Take her away, Ern.
Take it away, Ern.
Take it
Sorry.
away. Yeah. He calls Otto in, and I love the callback to Viserys' father. The story: 5 days. 5 days. My father was named hand to the king to his father. A young, strapping lad, bull of an ox, built like a brick shit house. And 5 days later, he dies of some unknown cause. They may have said, I just can't remember.
No,
But,
that's
Somebody
yeah,
took too
it's-
big of a shit in the brick shit house.
what it
Yeah,
was.
you know,
Choked it.
and
Got all choked up.
Yeah, choked.
so that makes you call into the whole thing because I again as a viewer, I don't know anything about Otto's history. I can see him as being the snaky, slimy,
Duck.
fuck around.
Slimy
But
duck.
could he have had anything to
Slithery
do
duck.
with? And Sarah answered this question is Balon, his father Balon's, death within those 5 days to become then moved up, or is that just Viserys, planting a seed of doubt or whatever, or just using as an example of Hightower's ambition? But I love that they brought that up because again, I've never. I didn't know the story of Balon, so it was just interesting to learn, and I like him calling it out on there. That was a good day for you.
It was a real good day for you.
Yeah, and this is where the sliminess and the sneak in, like you can see it in his face, like fuck, I'm getting called out.
Yeah, he's just trying to be a duck in the grass.
Exactly.
God
Oh, man.
damn it, Glenn.
If you joined the hangout late, the live stream late, there's been a lot of duck snake jokes.
The
so-
snakes look like ducks, kind of, unless you zoom in on them. Then
Some
they're definitely
ducks-
One thing
snakes.
looks one of these things is not like the other.
So in this part of the scene where OVH is talking to Big V, I really
Oh, wait, what? Who's OVH?
OVH Otto von Hightower.
Oh, no.
OVH.
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 That's how I have it written in my notes. I realized we haven't called him
Johann
OVH. yet.
Oh,
OVH.
wait.
Johann OVH.
What? I don't even understand. I'm still
Otto
confused.
von
It's an
Hightower.
acronym.
Vaughn. Okay.
Von,
Von.
like
I'm like,
Otto
Hightower,
von Bismarck,
HT. What?
former
I'm
king
sorry.
of Austria,
Martin
Prussia.
Van Buren.
So
Is that one?
anyway, I just love when it comes down to the judgment is made, and Viserys just clearly says your interests no longer lie with those of the realm. Your judgment has been compromised, and like Viserys, he's doing his job to some extent. I don't know. It's complicated because we know what the truth is, and we know that Otto's like legitimately just doing his job. Like he's could have gone around it better, but he's doing what his job
We did-
is.
We did all the wrong steps to get to the right conclusion, though.
Oh,
We
sure.
took the
Yeah.
He
completely
exposed
wrong way
himself,
to.
I think, is what happened. No.
Did he?
Well,
I mean, he said he had spies.
He was fully robed the whole time. He didn't expose himself.
He had a free robe. Is that what you're saying?
You're just here for the free robe.
What's indecent about this?
His exposure, but he
Yes.
exposed himself.
Rude.
No, I what I was saying, like, what I mean by that is
he showed his hand.
he showed his hand that I had these spies that followed Rhaenyra, and then when when you think about it, wait a second, you had spies, you're spying on my family, you piece of shit, you snake in the grass or duck,
You snake in the pond. Any other thoughts
Snakes.
on the removal of OVH Autovan as Hand of the King?
A slithering V.
Slithering V. Good grief. All right. Well, I believe we're at this point in the episode. Every episode has one of these, and this happens to be this one. Welcome to the final scene and the final drink of the night. So, Glendog.
Glendog, take it away. I'm Glendog. I'll take it away. Rhaenyra is given a magic elixir by the Maester, but from the king that will rid her of any unwanted consequences. Right?
So kind of a plan T.
Plan T. I get it. That's like plan B. The morning after tea.
Morning. That was gonna be the next part of it. There you go. That's all I have for it.
Abby, any thoughts on this abortification?
I really should not speak at this point. Unless you want to be here for a few more hours. Me and the angry heifers over here are just going to remain silent. And morning after tea, plan tea, should be allowed to whoever wants it. That's all.
All right. Well, there's that.
Sorry.
What should it be imposed?
Opposed by who?
It was
Imposed.
delivered to her almost as a thing from the king of like, you need to do this.
Imposed, not
Yeah.
opposed. I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah,
said it was
imposed
I was
upon
like,
her.
Imposed.
that was where no, okay. I mean, I think it was available and that was polite. I don't
Fair.
think anybody forced it down her neck. So
No.
Yeah.
It was provided. Here it is.
Because she probably was unaware of its existence. at that
I don't know
moment.
about
So,
that. I bet she knows about it, but whether or not she would go and ask for it's a different thing.
Well, that's it. Yeah, like that. Absolutely.
I think it clearly
Yeah.
shows that if it's from Viserys, that he knows there's some truth into what, regardless of how it went with Hightower,
Yeah.
it clearly there's some credence to some things going on that let's go ahead and nip this in the bud and just try to keep a good political face, save graces, and yeah, Moon Tea is the call he makes. And I don't know, it's complicated, but at the same time he's clearly showing that he understands that choices were made potentially by her. At least enough evidence is there that he's got to protect that, and king's got to do kingly things, and that sometimes you got to make hard choices. That's one of them. So
and do we have any
Oh
knowledge of
man.
if there would be any side effects of taken if unneeded? I would assume not. I
No.
would assume
He said he brewed
No.
it.
I mean, I
What
feel
that
like all
means.
it's going to do is very much like Plan B, which is it strips your uterine lining, creating an immediate period. Like,
yeah.
and if you drink it and there's nothing in there to strip, and obviously I do not know the molecular,
No.
but I don't, like, I feel like a lot of times I have not taken Plan B a lot of times. Like, let me rephrase that. However, like, if you took Plan B and there's nothing in there, it doesn't harm you. Like, it just prevents any type of attachment to a uterine,
That's fair.
which
okay,
I think would be okay.
all right.
She'd be fine. Drink
Glenn?
up, girl.
Yeah. Think you have the
So
final thought on that.
my note on this one is we do not see her take it.
Yes.
So you don't know if she drinks it and she's rid of the consequences, or she doesn't.
Mhm.
And maybe there's a little Nino on the way.
Or a La Nina.
or La Nina? We will find out. I assume we would find out.
If there are going to be more episodes, we might find out.
Was this the last episode?
This could have been. I don't think they called it a finale, but
Fuck it.
You know-
we're just done with 4 episodes. Let's call it a day. We tried.
yeah, hey,
Hey,
efforts
4
were made.
episodes
Jon
did cost
Snow's
them
coming
$100
up.
million. So
If I had $1 million.
All right. So, episode title accuracy: King of the Narrow Sea. A shrug and a
kind of weak, honestly. It was a scene in the
Yeah, it was
show,
a scene.
but
I feel like this
as-
episode really, I think Damon was a huge pinion in this episode. I think he drove a lot of what we
Pinion?
saw. He was a linchpin, if you will. And
I'm adding that to my thesaurus. I like
Opinion.
it.
there you
Sorry.
go.
Franco
Opinion.
opinion.
I think a lot balanced around him. He was a catalyst throughout the episode in many areas. I do think he was probably the most important character in this episode. It was choices he made that drove everything else that happened, and there are big kingdom defining things going on because of a couple choices he made.
I
We
don't
have
disagree with that. And I sorry,
No, you're fine.
I don't disagree with that, and you're absolutely right on that. I just the King of the Arrow Sea thing is just because it's only mentioned one time, and yeah, that's his title. And I would have almost preferred Prince of
Flea Bottom.
Prince of Flea Bottom, like over King of Narrow Sea. And I get it, why they
Uncle
went with that
Fucker.
because the whole thing. That's you.
Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. Oh, I wasn't ready for that one. I surprised myself.
So that's my only hiccup is sticking with the King of Narrow Sea when I think Prince of Flea Bottom would have been a more apt title for
Because he gives
what
up
happened in
up
this.
the crown too. Like it's
Yeah.
not like I'm gonna be forever known as the King of the Narrow Sea. Maybe that's what they called him, but then he came in, he bent the knee and like gave up his crown, he gave up the warhammer that Drahar, I guess, had or whatever.
Yeah. So one thing that I noticed, they've released all of the episode titles for the rest of the season.
Okay.
At least I found them on Wikipedia. So this feels like
haven't
one of
seen
those
them.
ones that if you know it ahead of time, it might be leading you in a certain thought. You know what I mean? I think that's what they were going.
Sure.
They're trying. It's more of a if you know it before you watch it, or like right when it starts, it might try to. They're trying to influence you on what to think it could be about because we just saw him in the last episode taking over the Stepstones, right, winning that, and maybe this is a big new thing, and then it turns out to be a different angle for stuff that he chooses to do with that title. I can see where that specific term isn't used much.
Yeah.
But I think it's an important thing leading towards where
I think
where the episode
Mikey
goes.
answered our. Sorry,
I saw that.
Mikey answered-
That
answered
is
our
when you're like,
question
sorry,
for-
Abs. You're like, sorry, you interrupted me. It was because I was just giggling. At
Oh,
the I
sorry.
was like, oh, like it's happening. It's
So
happening.
we'll come right back to it. Just put
Yes.
opinion in it. Note it. We will come
Okay.
right back to it. We will come
My
right back to
minion
it.
is in it. Got it.
Your minion is in it.
Got it.
All right. Episode description accuracy. After Rhaenyra cuts short her tour of Westeros, Daemon introduces the princess to the Street of Silk after dark. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
on the nose. Those things happen.
Mhm.
So there you go.
And it's intriguing. The question really shouldn't be: is it accurate? Is it if you just read that and you only knew like a quarter of what most viewers know,
Mhm.
would that interest you to watch this episode? Just reading that description,
Sure.
and I'd say, yeah, probably. I'd be like, okay, like especially the street silk thing, like, oh, what's that mean? And yeah, if you don't know the deep dive, not even deep dive, but again, you only know a quarter of the information. I think the tree of silk was mentioned twice in the entire Game of Thrones show, and both by Bronn, probably
Mhm.
would be my guess. And so I think it would be intriguing enough to make you tune in.
All right, so let's head on to our favorite and or least favorite things. Glenny Dog.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed like the little flea bottom stuff outside. I mean, I didn't really enjoy like the pleasure home stuff or whatever, but just like that freedom that Rhaenyra had, where she had to walk the street and go to the show. Like, I think that was cool, and like it just didn't seem like there was a lot of that politics. I know I've been pissing and moaning about these like politics,
And the Snake Ducks.
the snake ducks and the duck snakes. But no, I think the politic bullshit or whatever, like that just seemed like last episode where like Viserys was trying to go on a hunt and like it's just like, I'm done with this fucking politics shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like this episode just really didn't have a lot of that, and that's what I appreciated about it.
Yeah, I mean, her freedom in that moment was, I loved it there too. Like just being out and not being in thinking about politics,
Yeah,
like
and-
true independence.
And like the fact that they put on plays and stuff like that, that's cool.
Yeah, Benj, favorite or least favorite thing?
So I'm gonna actually agree with Jake Cruz there. Stole my thunder in the chat.
Thunder.
Little Lord Blackwood not taking shit from that Bracken scum. Fuck the Brackens, the Blackwoods, the kings of the Riverlands, the one true kings. They need to reclaim their place. So yeah, no, that was just a cool scene with him, just little dude being like, all right, you're gonna discredit me. You're gonna fuck up my chance. I'm trying everything I can to get this gorgeous chick here. I know I got a long shot. It's probably not gonna happen, but I gotta shoot my shot.
I'll kill
Fuck
you,
dude.
motherfucker.
I didn't say. I didn't. Yeah, you want to besmirch me? And he does. And it's like, and even that little spit of blood at the end, like it was just the perfect like chef's kiss on top of it, where he just gutted him so hard that he just, it was like perfect. So yeah, that was my favorite part of this episode.
I liked both of those scenes quite a lot. I'm gonna throw out that I also really loved the moment between Rhaenyra and Alicent when after Alicent kind of gets shit on by Viserys and they just have a nice moment. It's been 3 years since we've seen these best friends even have a chance to really level with each other, and I just love where she was like, "I missed you too," like. Regardless of all of the tension and frustrations about how we've gotten to this point, I still miss you as my friend, regardless of how frustrated I am. And it was just nice to see. It was a nice moment between the two, and I think it colored some of the things that we saw later in the episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Abby, what was your? Oh, she's missing
She gone.
in action. We will come back to her. But something we are going to start doing on our episodes to include the fun, fine folks of our live chat. Apparently, I blew my nose too earlier. I blew my load. My load. Oh, okay. I didn't do that on screen. Two different things.
Yeah.
We are going to have the chat recommend our episode titles that we call it for ourselves. And there was one that was broken in earlier. And Benj, I'll let you call out Mikey Two Hearted's comment.
So yeah, Mikey Too Hard, I think you won. And I don't even want to say I put one out to a vote.
Leader.
I want to put it out to whoever comes up with the best comment that just stands out
throughout the episode in general.
Throughout the episode, we'll tag them, and then we'll towards the end, we may put it for the vote. But he put out the Queen of the Narrow T, and that one was fairly fitting and enjoyably funny. So, Mike, you win today's episode title, which will be listed on our podcast, on the podcast download as the episode title.
Absolutely. So, I'm assuming Abby will be back at some point. Benj, why don't you tell us about one of our other podcasts?
Well, right now we do have the podcast that wanders and lost. It is a week by week review of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, where Luke, Bailey, Riley, who Mr. Narrow Sea himself, Riley, and Melissa are
There we have it.
going through and discussing the Rings of Power show. I've kind of watched. I think they do a good job.
Kind of.
I mean,
They talk
I'm not
about
gonna
free
lie.
robes.
I enjoy the Rings of Power. as just a show to just watch. I don't want to deep dive and overthink it, because if I do, I'm probably gonna get annoyed. So I don't want to do that. And so I whenever the stream is on, I click on it, I put it on mute, and I open a different window. So we still get the view, but I don't have to actually
Thanks
listen
for
to 'em.
gaming the system
But-
for us, Benj.
Way to go.
But I recommend that you do. If you enjoy that stuff, absolutely listen. They're very smart, very intelligent, and it is fun. The way they discuss and bring up all the random
Especially when it's
crap that
muted.
goes
You
on.
just really appreciate the muted
Exactly.
portion.
It's great. I just
I'm
like hanging
gonna
out in the chat.
be Quintessentially Abby at this moment. I have no idea what we're talking about, where we are, but I do have to excuse myself, and I just wanted to say
I need you to tell us what your favorite or least favorite thing was, and then
I
you
already
can go.
said it though.
Oh, you did say it earlier. She was good.
Yes,
All right.
Yep,
Well, then,
and as
house
always,
names, house
don't
words,
know-
and final thought. Just do that real quick.
I am Gertie of House Condescension. My house words are "We don't quit." Is that where we're going?
It's what
My
it's been
Sid-
historically. Yeah.
My Sage is a field of white with a raven sitting upon an up-pointed chevron. And as always, it's a real shit show around here, and I'm out.
See ya. Thanks
See
for
ya,
being
Abby.
Bye. Hey, boys, afterwards, text me.
here. Okay. Good grief.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Oh, it might ruin, if she actually gets off, it might ruin Benji's screen. Well, hopefully she just stays on there. Anyway,
I'm not actually getting off. I'm just
good.
muting
Perfect.
every
Just
Perfect.
mute yourself
Moving
and leave
along.
it running.
Bye-bye.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, check out House of the Dragon. We'll be recording again on Sunday night. I believe it is scheduled, so find that on our channel. Subscribe now so you can
Wait.
check that. What are you hesitating for, Bench?
You said, are we recording Sunday night? I apologize. I want to make
No,
sure.
no. House of the Dragon. Or sorry, I meant Rings of Power. I apologize.
Okay.
I was continuing the Wanders and
Fair, the
Lost promo. I apologize. I even in my head I say them wrong. I should just say Wanders and Lost. We're recording that on Sunday night to talk about
Yes.
Rings of Power, and so check that out. And we will be recording again next week. It's scheduled. I believe it's Friday night next week as well. So same time, same channel, and we look forward to seeing you guys there. Benj, house name, house words, final thought.
Sly of House McLean, House Words, it's dangerous to drink alone, take many. House Sigil is 3 black triangles on a red balloon. My Twitter is at Sly McLean. You probably won't reach me there because I'm never there. Final thought. Interesting episode. I'm so thankful Glenn did the breakdowns and is going to be. I'm going to kind of force him to do them because this is the episode that kind of broke me. I'm like, how the fuck do I break this episode down? I had no clue. It was a good episode. It was nice flowing, and that was very good. That was very nice. Everything seemed to fit perfectly together. My brain doesn't work that way, so thank you, Glenn, again. But no, it was a good episode. I think not a ton happened with a lot happening, if I could put it that way.
I think I understand what you mean. I really do. I really do.
Yeah.
I am Lucan of House Blackmead. Our house words are ours is the drink. We have an obsidian black chalice on a gold and blue checky background. You can find me on the show Twitters and Instagrams or at Luca Ferocious. And well, I actually wrote something in here. Oh yeah, I wrote this after I was taking my notes early.
yeah.
I said, I hope we haven't, but this episode could easily have been talked about for about 10 plus hours. I think there's a lot to unpack in some of these, and I'm glad we didn't dawdle too much. And also, I kind of mentioned this in the live chat, but there's no mushroom, which if you've read Fire and Blood, there's a lot of mushroom things going on. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of mushroom things going on that are just happening on screen without that character being involved, which is, I find it very intriguing. Benji, you have a
If
thought
I
on that?
may- If I may, the coming soon proposed we might be seeing them.
Okay, sure, fair.
I didn't
analyze
I'm
it
not
too
gonna say
closely.
it did. I'm not. And again, shout out to Reddit. They said, "Hey, he's coming," and picture.
Either
And so,
way,
like,
we'll see. Yep.
I hope.
Glenn Dog.
My name is Glenn of House Doggo.
House Words.
You miss 99% of the shots you don't take.
Sigil.
It's a doggo with a Wayne Gretzky jersey on.
Got a Twitter handle.
At Popsicle Stand.
All right. Final thoughts on the episode.
This is your run-of-the-mill episode where an uncle like takes his niece on a date and maybe they do a little kissing and stuff like that.
Attempted diddling.
And then, there's
There's a little
narrow
ducking, a little
sea
snaking.
stuff. There's snakes, ducks. This is your run-of-the-mill snake and duck episode.
I don't know if I could agree anymore.
Yep.
I can't agree anymore is what I'm saying. I can't agree with you anymore. So I won't. Become a patron, or you know what? Instead of Patreon, I'm just going to say check out the podcastthat.com/support us to find a couple different ways that you can help support our channel here at Drawbridge Media and the whole podcastthat.com family of podcasts. You can follow this show on Twitter and Instagram at Know and Drink. Send us a digital raven at knowanddraink@gmail.com. Subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes, where now you can find us. If you just search for Drawbridge Media, all of our shows show up as that one channel, which is really neat. Also, make sure if you're watching here on YouTube, subscribe and like our channel, Drawbridge Media. We truly, truly appreciate it. And until next time,
as always, the snakes look like ducks in the chat, kind of.
I'm trying to think of something funny, and that's not too bad, so I'm not going to. As always, winter is coming, and so did I.
and as always, show me your mushrooms. Stay imaginary. Thanks for being here, everyone.